Hey, everybody, welcome back to Your Inside Track to Success. I'm your host, Stewart Kraintz, and I think we got a really good one for you today. It's going to be one that is relevant to absolutely everybody listening to this or catching it on YouTube. And before we dive in, I know that we've had a lot of really great episodes recently, some really awesome interviews. I like to think some pretty awesome solo episodes with yours truly. And if you have been getting any value from this show, please like and subscribe, follow it, leave a review so we can become more relevant in searches. And also, this information can reach more people. And also, do me a favor, like share this with somebody. If you get value from today's episode, please share it with the person or people that you think get to hear this message. And again, because today's episode is going to be relevant to everybody, probably is somebody just right off the top of your head that will probably get a lot of value from what we're going to cover today. So please like, subscribe, follow, whatever the thing may be, depending on the platform, and bring a friend. We don't ask for a lot. This is a free show. Anybody can consume it, but only if they know about it. So without further ado, y'all, let's dive right in. So this is something that has been coming up a lot in my personal life and the lives of my clients. My wife and I talk about this a lot. And that is the concept of self care. And not only what self care is, but also what it's not. And I think we're going to dive today deeper into self care, what it ought to look like, and what it's not. And in doing so, really just trying to support you with creating a more well-rounded life. And again, that's the name of the game here on Your Inside Track to Success, creating the life of your dreams, one that you're proud of. And that means like the whole enchilada, so to speak, in terms of your life and what it means to be a human being on this planet. So in previous episodes, we've talked a lot about goals. We've talked a lot about needing to push, needing to keep going, discipline, determination, getting outside of your comfort zone in order to create the results that you've never created before. And maybe something we haven't spoken about a lot is the energy expenditure that's going to take and the time it's going to take. And yes, there are some sacrifices that we get to make in order to create the lives of our dreams. And I don't know that we've spoken greatly on the subject of self-care, so I wanted to devote this episode to it today. And the reason self-care matters is I want you guys to think of yourselves like a cup, okay? So we all have our responsibilities, work, family, kids, church, and whatever the thing may be. We are constantly in our society pouring out our time and attention and energy to other things and other people. And so, what happens if you continually are pouring out? You run out of water, right? So, if you're pouring out to other things and other people all the time, you're eventually going to run dry and there's going to be nothing left for you. And so, self care is setting yourself up in a way to win on a daily and a weekly basis so that you're always replenishing your cup so that you can continue to pour out into other people and other things and other pursuits, but are never running dry yourself. So it's kind of like being a self filling cup that can always give, but always has something left in the tank for yourself. And this is important, guys, because without self care, without pouring into ourselves, lots of really negative effects actually develop over time. And I'll just tell you right now, I don't think I was meant to work in the sports industry long term, but I left my role at the Yankees and immediately checked myself into NYU. The day I resigned, I had a 105-degree fever. I don't remember what my heart rate was, but it was like it was way higher than it should have been. I could feel it just like slamming against the inside of my sternum. It was beating so hard, and I ended up in the hospital for almost 10 days. They ran every single test on me, and the only thing that they could come up with was I had put myself there from exhaustion and stress, which was basically from not taking care of myself for weeks and weeks and weeks and months, and really like a couple years straight of just grinding, pouring into job, pouring into other people, pouring into relationships that weren't serving me at the time, both personally and professionally, not sleeping, not eating well, all of the things that hindsight being 2020, I'm pretty clear I shouldn't have been doing. But I was living in an environment that I had co-created that was making it very difficult for me to see an alternative. But because I kept pushing and pushing, or using the cup analogy, pouring and pouring and pouring out and doing nothing to fill my body back up, I flamed out pretty emphatically, actually. Um, it was definitely touch and go there for a couple days in the hospital with how far I had run myself into the ground. So, not taking care of yourself, not practicing self-care can do a lot of things. It can create stress, it can cause illness, fatigue, burnout, resentment in other people, like your partners, colleagues, other relationships that you hold near and dear. If your boundaries are being crossed over and over again, those are just some of the ways in which burnout, or excuse me, in which, lack of self-care can manifest itself in a way that it's going to be detrimental to not only you, but anything you want to create here on this earth. And so, one of the things that I hear a lot from people I've worked with, from clients, from people in my life is just the idea that I don't have time to take care of myself. Like, I can't afford to take the hour to journal or to meditate or to go for a walk or stretch my body, do yoga, whatever the thing is. And I always say back, how can you afford not to? If you are living in a heightened level of stress and anxiety and worry all the time, it's probably a clear indicator that self care is just what the doctor ordered. And so, it actually is a great segue to kind of the first thing I want to talk about. And it's the idea that self care has to be a big thing. It doesn't. Self care doesn't have to be clearing off the calendar so you can have a spa day, or shelling out a ton of money so you can, go get a massage, or, whatever your idea of self-care is. Actual self-care is doing the little things for yourself each and every day that keep you in a place where you can function at your highest potential. And so, a good example, I am prone to anxiety. I'm also prone to anger, I have learned, when my anxiety goes unchecked for too long. And that's just me owning it, y'all. Like, I get anxious about the future. That leads to anger. And then I'm not a lot of fun to be around. I'm really not. But when I'm exercising, I don't have this problem. Exercise for, 40 minutes or so, sometimes longer if I'm training for a race or, going to do a class somewhere. Exercise makes me a better husband, a better father, a better coach for sure because I'm just more present and focused and alert on what people are saying. And even recording this, I'm just going to own it. Like, if I had exercised earlier this morning, I would be even more crisp and clear with my words and all the other things that, go into producing a podcast. My self-care game maybe wasn't quite on point today, but I'm doing my absolute best. And, I know for a fact that if I don't exercise for the next 4 or 5 days and try to record a podcast, I'm going to be fumbling my words, not have any idea where I'm going, so on and so forth. And you get it. And so that's just the thing you need to know, guys, is self-care is not this massive event that has to be scheduled. It also shouldn't be because then it just becomes another to do. But self-care is really just implementing the daily habits, the daily or weekly habits that keep you grounded, keep you aligned, keep you in the game. For me, it's exercise. Some people, it's meditation. For some people, it's yoga. For some people, it's going for a walk or stretching or journaling. Journaling is great. Get all of your ideas out of your head and onto a paper. Journaling is wonderful for that. And it doesn't have to be a big hour-long thing. Like, where can you steal 5 minutes in your day here or there? When can you steal 10 minutes to say your prayers in the morning? Maybe going to the gym requires blocking out some time. However, it's worth it to you to keep yourself focused, keep yourself grounded, keep all the negative thoughts and worries at bay so that you can show up and be your best. Now, that's probably the single biggest thing to land. So I wanted to make sure I got that out of the way first. But another thing that's really important for self care is choosing your interpretations of the events happening around you. So I like to say life is lifing. When things happen, you get new sets of circumstances, new events occur, new things happen that prevent you from, you know, being able to draw a straight line from A to B, from where you are now to where you want to go. So this is related to self-care because how we choose to interpret events is our choice. Now, events themselves are inherently neutral. Even some of the worst, most unbelievably messed up stuff you can think about are neutral. It's the meaning that we assign to them that causes our suffering, right? So, getting fired from a job, getting in a car accident, failing a test, not getting the promotion you thought you were going to get, not getting the funding for your startup. Those are all bad if you allow them to be. Because more often than not, when we assign a negative meaning to things, it creates a heaviness of our energy. And that actually drains our energy quickly, believe it or not. I was reading something the other day and they talk about how super competitive, high level chess players are very rarely overweight. And the reason being is in a super highly competitive chess match, the average chess player can burn anywhere from 2,000 to 6,000 calories in a single chess match just by thinking and hyper focusing their mental energy. So when we're focusing super hard on the things that we've decided are bad in our lives, that's going to drain our ability to show up at work or in our relationships or, for whatever the thing is. And, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like there are a lot of bad things that happen in everyone's lives. And some of them are pretty difficult to view neutrally, meaning not assigning a good or a bad meaning to it, just accepting it as it is. But the more we are able to do that for ourselves, and it is a practice, it is a muscle we get to develop, the more easily we are able to stay calm and collected and grounded in the eye of the storm. So, a really quick way to do that, I like to frame it like this for my clients and anybody else. If you liken life to a game, life is a game that we are all playing. And the set of rules change based on our own present set of circumstances. And they are always changing because our circumstances always change. So, whatever you are going through right now, whatever things are happening, just know that it is the present set of rules by which you are blessed to play your version of the game of life. You got fired from your job. Great. That just means the rules to the game changed. You just got dumped. Okay. Awesome. The rules to the game changed. It hurts. And I'm not saying don't feel your feelings. But what I am saying is you don't stop being the human being that you are. You don't stop having all the talents and gifts and skills that you've developed over time. And your goals theoretically are still the same. In this case, you're just without a job or you are not with the person you are investing your time and energy and love into. So, being able to look at things neutrally is an asset if you are able to develop it for yourself. And I always ask this, so this is why I'm leaving it here. Asking yourself, how is this situation happening for me can be a life changer. It's shifting the paradigm from being a victim, meaning this is happening to me and I have no control, no agency, no say in the matter, to how is this going to be an opportunity? How is this unfolding on my behalf? Gets you thinking creatively. It gets you seeing the positive opportunities here. If you're a person of faith, it's how is this part of God's plan for me? Okay. So I know that this concept can feel pretty controversial. And again, I'm not here to tell you that your hurts, your pains, your traumas are invalid because they are. Our feelings, our unfelt, unprocessed feelings get stored in our bodies. They cause disease, they cause fatigue, they cause mental illness, all these horrible things. So I'm not saying don't feel your feelings, but I am challenging you on how to keep your head in the game when things are not going the way you want, because latching onto the awful, latching onto the hurt and just holding it until it becomes baggage is a massive drain on our mental and emotional well-being. So it's like the antithesis of self-care. So I just wanted to make sure we covered that also. Another concept that I think is important in self-care is the idea of receiving. First episode of this show, we talked greatly about how to build self-confidence. We build self-confidence by keeping our promises to ourselves, but only if we acknowledge ourselves for what we have accomplished. Now, this is true. I will die on this hill defending that statement. You build credibility with yourself by doing the thing, especially if it's a hard thing that gave you any type of anxiety or that you were nervous about. And then you need to acknowledge yourself that you actually did the thing, because otherwise you're just chasing the checkered flag over and over again. You're chasing a bar that's always going to get higher and higher and higher because you're not creating fulfillment for yourself. And what you are doing in that moment is receiving for yourself that you are actually taking action and accomplishing things and making progress towards your goals. So, if you have a business goal, maybe you don't hit that revenue goal that you had this month, but you had the highest revenue you ever had in a single month. Celebrate it. Maybe you hired 2 or 3 new people to your business in that process, and they all have jobs and are providing for their families. That's a measure of your impact in the world. Celebrate it. Maybe in that same month, your business grew by 1,000 followers on Instagram. Celebrate it, because it's all indicators of your growth, indicators that you're doing something right, and indicators that you're on the right track, and maybe you just get to keep going a little bit. So receiving the positives are a great way to cancel out the negatives, y'all. They just are. And it's not just receiving ourselves, receiving our own values, our own gifts, our own accomplishments, but receiving it when other people are telling us. My wife will tell you I am the poster child for deflecting compliments. It's not selfish. It's not arrogant to let them land. It's acknowledging someone else's experience and their experience truth of who you are and how you're showing up. And furthermore, if somebody is praising you, if somebody is giving you a good job, awarding you, anything like that, you're like, nah. Or, oh, well, I was just doing blah, blah, blah. You're actually denying them the opportunity to pour into you. So going back to that idea of the cup, it's somebody attempting to pour into you and you putting your hand over the cup so that it doesn't make it into the cup itself. It just splatters on your hand and all over the floor. So if we want to be a self-filling cup, it's great to have support, and that requires receiving other people as well. How many of you do not ask for help for the things you need help with? We live in a world today where almost any answer we need is a Google search or a YouTube video, now a chat GPT query away from giving you what you want or what you need in terms of an answer. But the actual support and the love and knowing that somebody has your back and cares about you, that is what so many of us deny when we don't receive other people. Some people are not meant to be our people. Some people are not meant to be in our orbit. And sometimes the praise or the support is genuinely not appreciated. And still, what if you chose to receive that, hey, I'm doing something right because so and so cared enough to say good job, even if it wasn't somebody you were particularly fond of. So this is super overlooked, but receiving is a huge part of self-care because it's made wrong in our society not to be the alpha dog and to ask for help. Feel like I could keep going forever, y'all, but self-care again doesn't have to be a big event, doesn't have to be a big expenditure, doesn't have to be anything other than just the daily habits and rituals that support you in filling your cup so that you can pour into others. And again, it also requires you to receive, requires you to acknowledge yourself, and where possible to begin to look at the events in your life as neutrally as possible. Because it'll protect your energy. It will also often protect the time that you're going to lose stressing or complaining or worrying. And again, none of this is to say don't feel your feelings. Please go feel your feelings. Put on some sad music, cry it out. Listen to a podcast that will help change your perspective. See a therapist. Talk to a friend. Like whatever the thing is to help you shift out of the pain and the hurt. But then you also got to receive that support, y'all. This is all self-care. And I think the last concept I want to touch on today, as it relates to self-care, is just the concept of being. Instead of how are you doing today, ask yourself, how am I being today? Doing is reflective of our society in that we place so much value on our production and what we're able to produce in a day or a week or a month or whatever timeline you're going to use. But how we're being is a choice. I'm being kind today. I'm being gentle. I'm being loving. You could also be bold, be excited, be passionate. Whatever the thing is for you, focusing on your ways of being is a choice. And so you can choose an empowering way of being just by focusing on it. and choosing it. Sometimes it is as easy as snapping your fingers and resetting for yourself. So, how are you being today? Another thing about being is because we focus so heavily on the doing in our society, stopping and checking in with yourself and being present can truly be a game changer in terms of lowering your stress, increasing your gratitude, and honestly, just checking in on what your body physically needs in the moment to keep yourself going. I was talking to a client the other day. She's, I think, just a remarkable human being. And I'm going to say that. She also has the weight of the world on her shoulders and all of the things she's responsible for. It's the concept of pouring into all the other cups, but not doing anything to replenish hers. So, what does being look like? For her, it's slowing down, doing anything for herself, and not making herself wrong for it. Being is just pausing to replenish. Doesn't mean kicking all your responsibilities to the curb because we genuinely don't have that luxury more often than not. Being is just being still, pausing, and checking in with yourself. So for her, we work on journaling, meditation, breathing exercises are excellent for getting you into a place of being. But even just being present, y'all, like looking around the corners of the room, feeling your feet on the ground, connecting to your senses, sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. What can I see right now? What can I smell, if anything? What can I taste in my mouth? What am I touching? What can I hear? You take just 2 minutes to do that, it will lower the frequency a bit of your vibrational system in a good way. I mean, getting you out of stress, not making you a low vibe person at all, but just lowering your stress levels, your cortisol levels, and just getting you regrounded in who you are in this moment so that you can get back in the game. Right. And that's what this is all about. Most of the people that listen to this podcast have a lot of responsibility. They have people that depend on them, family members that depend on them, kids that depend on them, friends that depend on them. And I'm telling you, it is all possible to continue to show up for all of them if you only choose to show up for yourself first. Being is key. This is something my wife always says, having been a single mother for so long. And it's brilliant. I should have said it probably at the top of the podcast when I was just getting us started on the concept of self care. But for those of you with kids, again, using the cup analogy or just using the food analogy, if you're always prioritizing other people and other things, eventually your kids start getting your leftovers. Meaning not practicing self-care, not doing the things that keep you grounded and keep you focused and keep you in the game, inevitably you will stop bringing your best self to the relationships that actually matter to you most, because you're going to be a wrung out sponge with nothing left in you. So I don't want to end this episode on a low note, but it is really important that you hear this, that nobody can advocate for yourself better than you. So your self-care is imperative for any type of or success, relationship, any type of goal really that you're looking to achieve. It's going to start with you taking care of you so that you can be the biggest, most badass version of yourself. So you can have a presence and an aura that fills a room. So you can love your partner the way that they're meant to be loved, and they can return the favor to you because you're showing them how. And I'm only scratching the surface on what's possible when you take care of yourself. And so if you're still listening to this episode, I hope you are, commit to yourself to just be today. How are you being today? And take stock of how you feel when you're doing things for yourself and when you're not. How do you relate to the world when you're not handling your business for you? Because at the end of the day, no one can take care of you better than you can. So that is my hope for you, that you will begin implementing this stuff, taking it seriously. At the end of the day, y'all, just choosing yourself. Some of you push yourselves to the absolute limits, and I acknowledge the heck out of you for that. And please let that land. Please receive that. And also, what would it be like to acknowledge yourself today? So, y'all, again, this is Stewart Kraintz. I am your host of your Inside Track to Success. I know that this was valuable to somebody today. Everybody could use a bit more self-care in their lives. Again, it's not a big showy thing. It's just doing the things for yourself over and over again and prioritizing you so that you can be all that you need to be in your time here on this earth. So if you got value out of this, please like, subscribe, leave a review, share it with somebody. And let me know in the comments what you thought was the most impactful moment. Definitely want to hear from you so I can continue to not only make these episodes, but make them even better, make them more valuable. What could I be doing to really land this stuff for you guys? So definitely gonna sign off with y'all for now, but you got this. Take care of yourselves. Remember, how are you being today? Take care.